for January 2016. At this time, I'd like to invite you to join us in a silent moment of prayer, followed by the oath of allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'm required to state that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Beth, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, members Fishback.
Here.
Fox.
Here.
Frank. Here. Burrell.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Olszewski.
Here.
Costello. Wolf.
Here.
Mayor McKay.
Here.
Member Pryor.
Here.
Chairman Hadley.
Here. Okay. At this time, Beth, you handle the swearing in of the...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
point of order, please. Beth, I have a couple comments on the swearing in, and Tony, I defer to you on this, but Mayor McKay, his term runs coincident with his term as mayor. He was sworn in last year, so I don't think we have to swear him in every year. I'm actually a Class 3 member. Gary is the Class 2 member. There were staggered terms for the Class 4 members. I don't think we need it here, but Beth, we have those documented from the council meeting? And how about the alternates? They're 2-year terms, but they're staggered, so I think the first guy just gets a 1-year term.
That's correct.
You got that? The other thing is, I understand some of these folks already serve on a board. They can't serve on 2, so technically they'd have to resign just before they're sworn in.
Correct.
Anybody on another board?
Environmental Commission.
We're allowed 1 member from the Environmental Commission, correct?
Correct.
Is there any other?
Mr. Garrell.
All right, you're good. You're not being sworn in tonight anyway.
I don't believe the Recreation Committee would qualify as.
Well, I'll ask the, so law says, I think any other committee or board, but
I don't know if Recreation Committee was. I just don't know off the top of my head. To your question, it's not something I anticipated. I didn't have an opportunity to
yeah,
research the question.
I understand that. And just to get this going, I would propose we swear Eric in. And we'll research that, and if it's correct that he can only serve on 1, he'll have to resign for one or the other. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also raised my hand on the Environmental Commission as well.
We're only allowed 1 Environmental Commission member, I believe.
Well, we need to research that.
I will research that.
We'll research that too. So we'll do that conditional too? Is that okay, Tony?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Now, in the past, we had people that served on more than 1.
The law is law, and whatever it says, it's going to say.
May I ask a question, Mr. Pryor, Joe?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you prefer. Would you please let me know where you find what laws, where did you find that so we can research?
It's right in the municipal land use law.
Okay. Thank you very much.
How would that affect any voting?
That may be a problem.
Do you want to table it until we research it, or table these appointments until?
Yeah, I think it's important to reconstitute this board this evening. I think I would prefer that if it turns out that Mr. Pryor's understanding of the Land Use Act is confirmed, that we have a commitment by the individuals that are involved that they will indeed either resign this position or resign the other position. I think with that, we can go forward. I think it's probably the most appropriate way to proceed. Does anyone have a problem or concern with that?
No.
Do we have that commitment from the two gentlemen that are potentially affected by this?
Yeah, that's what's determined.
Okay, thank you. What I will do is, if I am reappointed, I will generate a memo in writing well in advance of, in fact, I'll get to it immediately and circulate it for everyone's review so that you can all then decide from a personal level how you wish to proceed.
All right, would you, Tony, want to throw these numbers in there?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I think all of you have in front of you an oath of office form. If you would, if you just all stand. And we'll do this in mass. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Joseph Pryor,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform the duties of the office of Planning Board Member,
perform the duties of the office of Planning Board Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. If you would all fill in this form by just filling in your name and signing it on the right-hand side, and then I will witness all of your signatures. Thank you.
All right, congratulations to all of the newly appointed members of the planning board. At this point, we'll move on to election of officers. I'll open the first position would be chairman of the planning board. I'll open it to nominations. So are there any nominations?
I'd like to again nominate Gary Van Vliet.
I second that.
Any further nominations? If not, nominations for chairman are closed. We'll proceed to the vote. Roll call vote, Beth, please.
Members Fishback?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Burrell?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Olszewski?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Duncan?
Yes. Next position is vice chairman. I'll entertain.
I would recommend for the position of Vice Chairman, Mr. Burrell, if that may.
Mark Corral.
Yes, please.
I'll second that. Roll call vote, Beth, please.
Members Fishback?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Frank? Yes. Burrell?
No, stay. Pass.
Johnson?
Yes.
Olszewski?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Duncan?
Yes. I forgot to ask you, Mark. Will you accept?
I guess I will.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to move on to appointment of professionals. The first position would be resolution 16-2 to appoint an attorney. Do we have any?
With respect to that, I would suggest that given these are mostly new people and they don't know the professionals, that we table this to the next meeting so that the members present can get to know the professionals a little better. So table it until the next meeting. I make a motion to do that.
I'd be reluctant to do that because of the fact that we have quite a bit of information that's going to have to be available to us and reviewed. We're not appointing anyone. Are we going to use them as a carryover or other
Yes,
people
they'll be
to
carried
carry
over until
over?
the next meeting. So I motion to do that.
I'll second.
Beth, roll call vote, please.
Okay. Is that all the professionals, or are you just?
We were just doing the attorney.
Member Fishback,
No.
Fox,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Corral,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Olszewski,
Yes.
Casella,
Yes.
Wolf.
No.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Fryer,
No.
Chairman Hensley.
No.
Motion carried.
All right, now we'll move on to resolution 16-3.
I'd like to make the same
Are you going to make the same for all of them?
motion, yeah, for the three. Because the people don't know these professionals, and I think they need some time to get a feel for them and see if that's what they want.
Are there any?
Do we have any-
Are there any?
That's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, comment on
We're
that.
cut off right off.
If they don't know the professionals, then how are they voting to say yes or no on this motion?
And they're not familiar with them, whether they're called.
Well, if George isn't even here tonight, so I don't know, what you gain by that.
There's a motion.
Paul's been here for 15 years, so I'm allowed to comment on the motion. So I would question the practicality of it and the significance of it, but that's my comment.
Is there a second?
A second, well, one other point of order, the alternates really shouldn't even be voting on this.
Does that affect the outcome?
Oh, yes, the outcome's already.
Well, one was a no, one was a yes.
Still, the motion's still carried.
All right, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, Beth, on the positions of both the attorney, the engineer, and the planner?
Fox,
Yes.
Frank. Oh, I'm sorry. Corral,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Olszewski,
Yes.
Casella,
No.
Wolf,
Yes.
Mayor McKay,
Yes.
Fryer,
No.
Chairman Hensley.
No.
Motion's carried.
Okay.
I have a question on the appointment of professionals. We need to add another one.
No.
I think we need to reappoint our planning board secretary. Shouldn't that be on the list of professionals as well, or is that not considered?
No, that'll be up as a separate order for the, I think it's on the second page. No, no? Oh. All right.
Maybe it doesn't fall under the category of professional, that thought maybe it doesn't.
Normally it didn't, but we didn't need a resolution to do that, so.
No.
Do you want to,
Well,
actually,
I have a 5-year contract.
okay,
Um,
she doesn't need to be reappointed then.
I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but maybe our attorney can weigh in. Was there not just something in OHAD with the length of 5-year contracts?
Let me address this issue if I can. It is absolutely true that Ms. Diltz has a 5-year contract with this board. Beth, when was that contract entered into?
2 years ago.
Okay. On the face of it, the contract is a valid enforceable contract. However, to be fair to everyone, I should advise you that I am the land use board attorney in Lopatcong as well. And the governing body in Lopatcong last year challenged in court a multi-year contract with its board secretary. The case was transferred out of this county because Judge Purcell had a conflict because he had previously represented the governing body in Lopatcong. It was transferred to Judge Miller in Somerset County. Judge issued a written opinion, a copy of which I have in my possession, and concluded that the multi-year contract was void and unenforceable because it usurps the authority of boards on an annual basis. And tonight is a perfect example. You're reconstituted, you have new members on the board that have usurped the board's authority to choose professionals and to choose its secretary. Is that decision binding on this board? Not necessarily. It's not a published decision. A different judge might rule differently. I know of no other case law, but it certainly suggests what the outcome might be. I think it would be ill-advised to appoint another secretary at this point in time. You then would have, in effect, two secretaries. It could create chaos. My recommendation is if the board wants to challenge the contract, it's free to do so. If the board is satisfied with Ms. Dilt's services, that challenge would be academic, but it's really up to what the board wants to do at this point. I hope I've answered your question. I don't know if I have.
Kirk, are you proposing making a motion to
So I
appoint?
guess is it then, can I make a motion to renew Beth's contract for a 1-year term and get her into a new contract that doesn't put us into litigation potentially?
I don't see why not.
She would have to agree to, what do you want to say, vacate her existing contract.
Not necessarily. I don't think she's not voting on this. She may take the position that regardless of the vote, she's entitled to remain under her multi-year contract.
Contract supersede ordinance?
The contract is the contract. It's legally enforceable until a judge says that it is not. And here's the problem. The Land Use Act says that the board shall have the authority to appoint its professionals and staff members. It doesn't, it's silent on the issue of when, it's not silent on the issue of when it's done, but it's silent on the issue of multi-year contracts. And the case out of Lopatcong addressed the issue of multi-year contracts. But it is this board's appointment. It is not the governing body's appointment. It is this board's appointment. I don't think it would hurt to find out if a majority of this board wants Ms. Diltz to remain. If they do, then any litigation would be superfluous and academic. But if the board feels otherwise, then the board has to decide whether it wants to challenge that contract or not. I think we need to find out.
So I would be willing to put a motion out there that we renew Beth's contract for a 1-year term and that the contract be revised to say the pay is per meeting and not on an annual basis. And if we need to keep the pay the same, then that would be $1,000 per meeting. But I think we should tackle this all at once. So I'm making a motion to keep Beth as the planning board secretary and change the contract to $1,000 per meeting instead of $12,000 per year.
People on that profession, not the other professions. They don't call. No calls is why we know that. Why are we not voting with the call?
Mr. Chairman, he's speaking out of
We've
order.
tabled that, so, and it's not public comment right now, so.
So I don't know, so does the motion happen first, or can I ask Beth if she'd be interested in doing that as our secretary? What comes first?
I have no objection with appointing her for the 1 year. As far as revising the contract, now we may be changing her actual contract she signed with the board, and we'd have to void that contract, and I don't want to get into that until we get further legal opinion on which way this would go. So I would be perfectly happy to offer her the 1-year contract here at the current salary that she's making for the year and go with that as opposed to changing the contract.
Okay.
I don't think the board can unilaterally change the contract
That's what I'm
because there's two parties to the contract.
That's what I mean. She would have to agree to that. I mean, if she accepts the 1-year appointment under the current conditions of the contract, it's really not changing any money as far as that's concerned.
Then we reword it. I make a motion, to reappoint Beth, and the contract can be negotiated at a future date.
Does it make more sense before we vote on anything and discuss anything further to ask our council for our options and to see what the options are? And I like Beth to remain as the planning board secretary.
That's what we're trying to do, as opposed to saying just unilaterally changing the contract.
However, I have to tell you, Gary, that I think the last year we had a total of 6 meetings. You guys had a total of 6 meetings.
Mhm.
And we really did pay for 12. Now, I've been told.
I understand your position, but I don't think that $1,000 a meeting just covers her being at a meeting.
I was trying to get, and excuse me for being, I don't mean to be, but I've been told that besides the planning board, you're sitting here and taking meetings. Lori told me once there's a lot of other stuff which goes with what you do. And I have to tell you, I really don't know what else you do. So if you would be so kind and let the public and us know what other duties you have on maybe that makes it easier for people to understand and it makes it clear what you actually do. And I believe you're doing what you have to do.
I thank you, for putting the motion forward and seconding it here. I do believe that this is an executive session matter, having been rights noticed. I'm an employee of the town, so I wouldn't mind speaking about it further, but I don't believe that we should be talking out in public session currently.
And if I'm out of line, I apologize.
No,
It's my first day.
May I?
Absolutely.
I have one other comment. I mean, no matter whether you like it or not, she has a contract until it's overturned. I respect Tony's opinion. He can research it. He can offer an opinion. But that was still a decision at the trial court level. It's unpublished. You would really have to litigate it here before you could void that contract. So there's no sense awarding a second contract with different conditions.
That's why I pointed that out. So.
I suppose you could offer a 1 year with identical conditions, but the, I don't know, the other contract would govern since it's in place. So my own feeling is she has a contract. If you feel you want to litigate it, that's your right.
If there's no other comments, I'll keep my motion on the floor. And it's just to renew that at a 1 year term. So we're giving Beth a 1 year contract. That's all. There's no stipulations. It's just get it into the 1 year renewal rate, which will be consistent with what has happened in Pohat. So it can be voted down.
Forgive me, Pohat has no bearing here. She has a 5-year contract.
I think you have to understand she has a 5-year contract already. You're not.
Right, and I would think that
Just
even if
decide
she
to make a
agreed,
motion,
she wouldn't
you
be
have to
able
be-
voluntarily to say,
It doesn't work like that.
okay, break the contract. So the term is to figure out how to legally change the contract to coincide with the ordinance of having a secretary appointed every year annually along with the other members. So how do we end the contract to coincide?
My suggestion is one of 2 ways. You can litigate it, or you can renegotiate a contract with Beth that's mutually agreeable.
Does that happen here?
We would have to renegotiate the contract from this board, yes.
And if she's inclined not to renegotiate, then you would have to either honor the contract or litigate it.
No.
Sir, please, there's no comments from you.
Now, that would assume though that the contract which we currently have is a legal binding.
No, you're not listening to me. It's legal until it's litigated.
Litigate. The Pohat contract is case law, but not published case law. It's, right now, she has a 5-year contract with us. It's a salary that was negotiated under that contract. And we really don't have to do anything as far as appointing her now. She's just continuing as the planning board secretary under that contract. If we want to try to renegotiate that contract, or we want to litigate the contract, then I guess we're free to do that.
But I say again, while you renegotiate or while you litigate, you have a contract in place until it's litigated.
Well, I guess then we go through the motion on the floor, it's already been seconded, and that's okay if it's voted down, and that's the majority, I'm fine with that. But let's do the motion.
Okay?
Can we say the motion one more time, exactly
Yeah,
what it
can you
is?
clarify exactly
been
what
You're,
we're
you're
voting on?
offering her a one-year contract,
Motion is to approve that for the contract.
as opposed to just, we wouldn't have to do anything, and she would still be the planning board secretary. So,
Recognized at the end of the year, you have to litigate again. I mean, this whole proposal makes no sense to me.
you want to, we had a second, who was second?
It's
Peter?
not valid or binding, Tony, right? Because there's already a contract. You have to decide whether or not they want to litigate it. And I'm still in place until that point.
I think the short answer is we need to know what the board wants to do. If the board wants to challenge the enforceability of that contract, then it does. If it is content to not challenge the contract, but to indicate that it wants you to serve for this calendar year, I think the board can do that as well. I don't know if it supersedes the contract. I'm a lawyer, not a judge, but I think it would maintain the status quo at least for this year. No more, no less.
And a point of clarification, the one-year extension, is it the same compensation and terms and conditions as the existing contract?
Yeah, I believe it would have to be. That's what I'm hearing. So it's just basically bringing it down to a one-year term. But if our attorney believes that this is not a good move for us, it sounds like it's kind of up in the air. We're not really sure. But if
I don't know, I don't know what you're looking for from the attorney. There's a contract in place. It's in place until a court says otherwise. He just said he's an attorney, not a judge. You can pass it. I don't know, they run in parallel, I guess.
If we have a 5-year binding contract with 3 years left on it, and we're willing to go one more year at the existing that she's getting now, it just seems like it's pointless litigation.
Would you be
I mean,
willing to withdraw your motion?
I can withdraw it if
And we will,
if the attorney can tell me one more time, this, and again, as an example, but this is not, if you just tell me this is not an illegal contract, then I can withdraw my motion. That's all I want to hear. It's not an illegal contract.
It is an enforceable contract until a judge declares otherwise.
Okay.
I don't know how else to answer your question.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not avoiding it. That's the best way for me to answer.
I can withdraw, and if nothing else, we had a good discussion on the topic. So thank you, everybody.
okay, do you, would you feel more comfortable if we have a stipulation under her contract for this year? Motion?
I'm not encouraging the board to litigate this issue. I think it would be a waste of taxpayer dollars and really counterproductive, and I think it was very much so in Lopatcong. But I think it's important for the board to decide whether it wants Beth to continue to serve as its secretary this year. I don't think it can hurt to for someone to just make that motion.
Would you like to make that motion and place it?
No, based on the discussions, and no, motion is on.
Yes, your motion's withdrawn. Would you
No.
like to make a new motion that would continue Beth under the existing contract?
I don't think I have to. Provide your contract, and we're saying that it's legal. It's a non-issue at this point.
Okay, and we're not looking to litigate it or anything like that under,
No,
okay. In that case, congratulations, Beth.
She stayed.
Continuing on into the contract.
Thank you very much.
And that contract locks your salary in for that 5 years also. There were no increases in that salary, if I'm correct?
Correct.
3 more years on it, yes. Okay. We have, the next resolution is number 16-01, approving the annual meeting calendar, official newspapers, the Star Gazette, and the Express Times. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second, roll call back, please. The mayor.
Yes, I'll roll call that. Members Fox,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doral,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Ostachowski,
Yes.
Gallo,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Fryer,
Yes.
Chairman Van Hook.
Yes. Next order of business is resolution 1605 to adopt Robert's Rules of Order as a basic guide for fair and orderly procedure in meetings. Do I hear a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Roll call, Beth, please.
Members Fox,
Abstain. I actually couldn't find Robert's rule.
So,
Vice Chairman Doral,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Ostachowski,
Yes.
Gallo,
Yes.
Wolf,
yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Fryer,
Yes.
Chairman Van Hook.
Yes. Okay. Under old business, we have the December 23rd, 2015 minutes of the meeting to be approved. Are there any comments, corrections on those? We're going to have to differentiate who is
Yeah,
at that meeting.
I'll call who was
Oh, okay.
on last year.
Any, no comments, no corrections?
I wasn't here, so I have to abstain from the whole thing.
If I have a question for you in those, when you do those minutes, are you going off the tape or are you actually taking notes while we're talking here?
Well, I use the tape, I take,
Okay, so when you say inaudible, you actually can't hear the tape.
I can't hear it.
So you can't, okay.
Yeah, and if I could just tell everybody, you have to actually speak directly into the mic. So like if you're turned or you're leaning back, most times I can't hear it.
Okay.
So for you guys, I'm sorry, there's just, one mic here, but maybe we could change that. Maybe we could have a few more. Make it easier, otherwise it's have to pass through.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second? Roll call, Beth, please.
Okay, I'm gonna call the alternate Fishback.
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Mayor McKay,
Yes.
Mr. Fryer, you said you were abstaining, and Chairman Van Hook.
Yes. Okay, under new business, we have a discussion on the ROM. I'm not quite clear we're on that one. Mr. Brown, I think you were the one that submitted that as a
Yeah,
agenda
basically,
item.
I wanted to bring up, I guess it's going on 3 years now. 3 years or 4 years?
4 years.
4 years since the hearings at the high school concerning the asphalt facility. And I guess during that, something happened that precipitated all that discussion and all those meetings, and the end result was that the ordinance had been changed to allow that facility to come into our town. And what I wanted to do was, at that time, it went to the council to change back the ordinance to disallow that type of facility, and then the council said it had to come to the planning board, and I don't think anything ever happened. So what I'm proposing is that we go back to the original ordinance that we had in place, or start that discussion.
Several things have happened. Number one, it's still being litigated. So it was advice of our attorney who was handling the litigation not to take any action on anything on that segment of the zoning in the township until it clears through all court cases.
My understanding of that is, though, that if the applicant they fall under what the ordinance was at the time, which allows them to build the facility.
Mhm.
Right now, I feel we're exposed. as a town, and we should bring up the discussion and have that discussion, because it has no relevance on the case that's going on at this point, because it would be from this point forward. They've already had their application approved.
But we don't know what the full outcome of that's going to be yet.
I believe what Mark is saying, and Mark, excuse me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is whatever was approved back then is being grandfathered.
Yeah.
And what Mark is suggesting, I believe, I understand, is that any future development
Moving from here forward
from now on forward would be, I think that's what it is.
would
Well,
get
you
back
wouldn't-
under
you
the
wouldn't
old
want
ordinance.
You wouldn't want to permit it.
Wouldn't want to go back to the old ordinance.
There's some problems with that too, so, Paul, you want to?
I think this matter's been discussed extensively by the governing body, most particularly in executive session. This matter's been discussed extensively by the governing body, most particularly in executive session, and there's been advice given by the township attorney on this particular issue. And ordinances do get adopted on a governing body level, not on a planning board level. So I think you need to be careful discussing this. I mean, I'm not going to be. I think you probably, if you feel that way, I think there could the board, if you feel as a majority want to see something like that, you can send a recommendation in writing to the governing body. That can happen. The governing body can consider it, but I know that this has been discussed. This very issue has been discussed a number of times, and I'm not going to go into the details again because a lot of it's been in the executive session.
Perhaps rather than simply recommend it, would be to inquire of the governing body and get the advice of the municipal attorney on the advisability of even considering it at this point in time. I think it's worth exploring, but I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot either.
I would wager to say that the planning board making a recommendation is the right thing to do for this town. This recommendation could be shut down by the township if they don't believe it's the right thing to do. This is critically important for our town to do the right thing. It's in everybody's best interest, and it's in the town's best interest. We're talking about a major facility coming up in Ingersoll Rand. We're talking about 300 plus funds on the existing asphalt facility. There's two apartment complexes potentially coming in. One's a guarantee, one's a probable. Our township will become gridlocked. We have to stop it somewhere. And I think at this point, it's very important to disallow any future asphalt manufacturing facilities and concrete manufacturing facilities and recycling facilities, and do not allow them to expand beyond their current application and their current permitted use. This is important. Not only do I know firsthand that 95% of our residents do not want to see this get any bigger than it already is, and I know that firsthand. We also don't want to find ourselves in a situation like Robbinsville, where we're in total gridlock this holiday season because of the amount of traffic that came in from the Amazon warehouse shipping facility. This can get out of hand, very quickly. This is the right thing to do as a planning board. This is looking out for our town, and all we can do is make a recommendation. And the township says no, they say no. But I think it's our job to make the recommendation to the township that we feel is in our best interest.
May I respond? I'm going to respond first to York and then to Mark. And maybe I'll preface my response to both of you. The municipal land use law is a very complicated law. I think Tony would agree with me. It's well litigated. There's lots of case law on it. It still gets litigated all the time. So things that sound very simple sitting here get very complicated as you move forward. Maybe I'll go to Mark first. I think you really have to go back and read Judge Miller's decision, at least get the facts straight. The facility was allowed under the original ordinance, and I'm not defending it. I wasn't even on the board or planning board or here at the time, but I did read the decision. The court decided it was allowed under the original ordinance, and the zoning ordinance was amended to make it a conditional use, and it limited to the zone south of Route 57. Conditional use means in the zoning ordinance it's provable. It's permitted if they meet certain conditions. They're spelled right out in the ordinance. I think I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to make sure that there's no enlargement of the existing approved asphalt plant, and there'll never be a second one. Is that, am I summarizing that correctly? I think there may be some ways to get that done, but as people have said, A, we're in litigation now, and B, municipal land use law is very complicated. I would agree with Tony's advice that it's not something that has to be done tonight or even next meeting. I think you start a dialogue. I would suggest, like Tony said, is that we ask Tony to sit with the township attorney, get up to speed, convey your objective, and see if there's a way we can discuss that further without getting ourselves in a jam. Is that fair, Tony?
I'm more than happy to do that and report back, and I think it would be appropriate to do so in executive session since this matter is in litigation. I hear you loud and clear. I know what you want to accomplish. There's lots of different ways of skinning a cat and doing it legally. We just need to make sure that we do it in the appropriate way.
Yeah, I don't quarrel.
The pleasure of the majority.
I don't quarrel with Mark's objectives, and my suggestion is we just do it very carefully, we explore it, we understand it, and we don't move in haste and create chaos within the township.
No, excuse me, I think what is suggested is nothing more than making a recommendation to our council to consider the request. I mean, we're not voting to change anything. We cannot change anything to begin with. What we do is make a motion to request our council, who's then going to be the one, and they have then officially get into here and start considering the issue. And I think that's a good thing to do.
You know, I would counter that. I mean, it doesn't do any more than what Mark has requested. I would hope that everybody on this board makes an informed decision. You have the facts in front of you. You understand the alternatives, and you understand the proper way to get something done before you make a recommendation. If you want to make something up on the fly and send it out of here, I'd be disappointed in that. I think Mark has made express valid concerns. I think there's a way to explore that properly. And I'm going to make the motion that we authorize Tony to follow up on Mark's request, discuss this with the council's attorney, and maybe he can come back and we can have a closed session and see what our options are and what the ramifications are. And that's my motion.
A second one.
I can agree with that. Any further comment?
Yes, as he's looking into it, I would like to add a further comment. I have something here I want to pass out, and he can take a look at it. This is just a trial sample rewrite of ordinance 243-776 and 243-777 for his consideration in the discussions to get an idea of, I think, what we're trying to accomplish. And this is only going to help out to pass this around. So I'm going to pass this around.
You can submit it, but I think it's clear what Mark has suggested. So this ordinance is not part of my motion. You can distribute it as you see fit.
Any further comments? If not, roll call vote now.
Okay. Fox,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Durant,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to Eric now?
Yes.
I didn't get everything you said. I mean, you said something about a development apartments being a sure thing or something like that. That's a patently ridiculous statement. He said there were two, and one was under study, the other was a sure thing.
No, I said.
What did you say?
The whole thing.
You said more than you said probable. Well, that's a silly statement. There's two ways that can be done. One is a zoning change through council, and that's nowhere near being approved, trust me. And the other is a trip to the zoning board of adjustment. Planning board doesn't even figure in that process. It's going to be a decision of council or a decision of the zoning board of adjustment. So where you're getting the information that it's probable, that's a rather silly statement for a board member here to make.
He should rephrase that he meant possible. I think what he was trying to say is think
All
about
right,
it.
we'll accept possible. Anything's possible.
Okay, so we'll continue along those lines then. Any further discussion on the ROM? If not, we have correspondence, a letter from Lanigan Engineering regarding notice of treatment works application for Berry Plastics expansion. I don't know if that belongs before the planning board or not. Paul, do you have any on that?
When an applicant seeking a treatment works approval from the Department of Environmental Protection, there is a checklist that the department has that the applicant has to address. One of the checklist items is providing notification to the planning board and the environmental commission of the municipality in question. So the applicant's engineer is, following that checklist requirement, has issued letters to both of those bodies here in the township. So that's why this board got a copy of that letter.
Okay.
I don't think you need to do anything with it unless somebody wants to study, look at the package that is in town hall. And
This is being handled by the Board of Adjustment at this time.
correct.
But if I can, the TWA is actually endorsed by the mayor with the approval of council.
Correct.
So your allocation and your TWA are processed out at the council level.
And that's how it's doing.
Correct. And there is a request for an allocation at this point that the council will be looking at the February 3rd meeting.
Are you permitted to give us an idea how much of an allocation? Or would you rather hold off?
It's approximately 18,000 gallons a day. That's my recollection.
Yeah, some of it is boiler water though, Russell, so it's a mix of domestic and boiler.
If council approves it, is the planning board's responsibility for receiving this? Are we responsible for commenting or suggesting anything to it?
You're welcome to. Ultimately, it's council's decision, but the whole point of notifying the environmental commission and planning board is if you have a comment, you can submit it.
We won't be reviewing it if that's what you're saying. No. Yeah. Okay. Any further comments? Paul, you have a comment?
I just have something for the board that I would like to do after public comment, if that's permissible. There's a few questions for the board.
I think from the board, I'll open it to public comment. Anyone from the public? Ms. Leiper?
Jennifer Leifer, 32 Jade Lane. I'm still all bundled up. I just wanted to thank you all for taking that action to make that recommendation to the town council. As you well know, we've been around that mulberry bush many times over the past 4 years. It's been rather hard for us to get a straight answer as to really where that needs to begin. And what it comes down to is it begins with a recommendation from the planning board. So I appreciate that, and I hope and I believe that you do realize that this is a concern for the majority of our residents. Like Eric said, being folks who've been ringing doorbells around here for a long time, and Mr. Pryor, going through that yourself, I'm sure that you are well aware that despite the fact that there certainly are a handful of people who have no concerns or who are for the plant, the grand majority strongly want to protect this community, especially from any future applications. So I appreciate your consideration of that, and I hope that if you can even create that recommendation with the language and the wording. I'm not sure what Eric presented, but I'm curious to take a look at that. It'd be great if we could protect our community from any future industrialization on that level. So thank you very much. My only other comment would be to you, Mr. Pryor, and that's just, a little bedside manner goes a long way. looking at people when you speak to them, body language does say a lot. And I hope, you've made a lot of promises to this community. I hope that you'll take it down a notch there and try to work agreeably with the people around.
I will try, but it does bother me when a member of this board makes statements like that that are uninformed.
Well, do you want to know what? You're much more experienced, and you have some new people. And what you can do is you can use your experience to help nurture and teach those people and help them learn the ropes. And you can do that, and I'm sure that they will show you a lot of respect, and they will greatly appreciate your work.
I'm happy to do that.
To be rude is rude.
I'm happy to
It's a
do
choice you have
that.
to make. But thank you very much.
If someone talks to me rather than getting up and making a statement like that.
I have one comment to Mrs. Leifer. Mrs. Leifer is the fact that some of the statements that we make as a board or a board member at a public meeting can come back to haunt us in a bad way. Because when we get down to a hearing, the official hearing of an applicant coming in, they very well can go back to our minutes, indicate that this person was prejudiced against to begin with and prevent him from participating in the meeting. And it's one of the very things that we try to be very careful of up there. I know we seem aloof at times and don't want to say things or get into arguments with people, but that's one of the basic reasons why we do it. So, and it's tough when you have somebody coming here, and we've had it in the past where people have objected to certain members of the board actually participating in the hearing, so far as to say that they must leave the room. So don't try to prevent that from anybody that's happening here. So sometimes it's tough not to express personal opinions. So, okay, so you're a chairman and you're looking at the same thing. So, I'm sorry to interrupt. Rob, are you coming up?
I just wanted to congratulate all the new members. Welcome aboard. I wish you well. I just wanted to say one thing regarding the appointment of the professionals. I know the mayor has the authority to appoint who he feels can best serve this board, but I really want to just say two things. First and foremost, we have a lot of things in motion regarding different projects and approvals, and I think it would be in our best interest to hold on to who we have at this point in time, Mr. Mayor, strictly because the experience and the learning curve of bringing on someone new at this point in time, I think would really hurt us in the long run, number one. The second thing I'm going to challenge you all to do who voted against reinstating all the professionals tonight. I'd like you to come to the next meeting with a list. If any of you find the duties of any of these professionals to be derelict, or they didn't do their job, or problematic, or anything like that, I'd really like to hear the list. So if you have something specific that you find wrong with any one of them, I'd really like you guys to share that with us. All right? Thank you.
Can I say something with that, Rob? I don't think anybody wanted, or is I think what was suggested, and I know most of these guys, I have no problem voting for either one of them. And many of these guys, Otter, for instance, or John Fox, I don't think they have ever met our planning board attorney ever. And just to sit down with them and have a short chat, I don't think that's a bad thing to do.
I think conversely, to jump into, I understand, I can say you're more right in what you did the wrong tonight, waiting and getting to know who they are. But in the long run, I really think that not considering all of these guys, I think they've done a great job. And again, I challenge you all to find something that they've done really wrong, or if they were derelict in their duty, or if they were, unresponsive.
Nobody's saying something to the contrary. You're absolutely right.
Then conversely, if they've done a good job for us, I'd really like you to reconsider reappointing.
You're absolutely right, but Otter, for instance, she doesn't know if the planning board attorney did a good job for us.
Understood.
Good. Thank you.
To no fault.
Mr. Wright?
Yeah, I have a little problem tonight. You guys all got sworn in tonight. Everybody swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. Then I see one member who wouldn't even pledge allegiance to the flag. I got a little problem with that, and that's Pete. Can I just ask why?
Why what?
You didn't say you pledge allegiance to the flag, but you swore to the oath.
Okay. The reason for me not pledging allegiance to the flag is because I'm a United States citizen. And I have to be a United States citizen. but I'm more than willing to uphold the laws and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey. I have no problem with that. As you saw, I will stand up, I will pay respect. I'm not stay seated, and I respect everybody for what they do.
No, what?
And,
I'm sorry, you're not what? Say seated?
I'm not staying seated. I stand up, I face the flag, I pay my respect to everybody, and I applaud you for everything you do. But that's it. That's the answer.
But you don't pledge allegiance to the flag.
I don't.
Thank you.
You understand that we have hundreds of thousands of, I don't say 100,000, but there are many people who are serving our military at this point in time who are not citizens of the United States, right?
You're a citizen of the United States, right?
No, I'm not.
You're not a citizen, and you're on board? How can that be?
It's allowed. Mr.
I
Lavery.
don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not-
Mr. Lavery gave us a opinion on that a while ago, and I got an opinion from the General Counsel of the League of Municipalities. So it's allowed.
Well, I don't know. I'm asking, that just.
New Jersey's very liberal. You can be a felon and be on board.
What's that?
Lots of people are citizens.
And they're on board, yeah, I didn't know.
Research it, and I will, again, I stand up, I applaud you guys.
I just want to bring that to the bottom there.
Any further comments?
Lori Tesla, 12 Meadowview Drive. The ordinance in question is Lopat's ordinance, 243-11 membership. It says that the planning board shall consist of 9 members for convenience in designating blah, blah, blah. Then it goes on to say, the members of Class 4 shall hold no other township office except that one may be a member of the Board of Adjustment, one may be a member of the Board of Education, and if there is an environmental commission, one member shall be a member of the planning board pursuant to
That's
NJSA.
required. That's required. But another member may be also on.
It says that. Okay, well, you guys can
No, shall
set
means
it.
you have to have somebody in the planning board. That's also on the environmental.
Shall means, so you're
Must.
saying that shall must. So it says members of Class 4 shall hold no other township office. So they must hold no other township office. That's what the ordinance says.
No, no.
It's on the code book, you can look it up. I think it's good that everybody's taking their time and doing the appointments. I don't know, did you get the RFPs for the, are you going to interview them? Because I know one of them passed away.
You can't interview them.
Okay, good. As far as the ordinance with the asphalt plant, I think you both made very good points. As you know, Paul, you've been an executive with us for 3 years. I have brought it to the council to do something, and there's
We
been a
can't
lot of
discuss
discussion.
executive.
I'm not discussing executive when I'm finished. There is a lot of stuff that went on in executive that you need to talk about. Like I said, I think a comment was made to get it in gear. We've been trying to get it in gear. Do not think that myself or Maureen McCabe or anybody else has not been trying to get it in gear. That's an assumption that's incorrect. As far as being a board member, you guys are board members now. So you, like you said, you speak, which I think what you just said was 100% correct and needed to be said. You speak for the board, you speak for the township. There's a couple things going on here. We have pending litigation with your board secretary. You have to tread very lightly. You have to do things. You can't say things like things are probable when it hasn't even, the zoning hasn't been even changed, because they could come back and say, well, your board member said it was probable. So I just ask you to be very careful. I sat up there for 3 years. I took a lot of abuse, a lot of it from Peter. You know that. I'm not going to give you the same disrespect. But if you are going to call me out while you're having your meeting, please try to be a little more respectful, or don't do it, because I'm not on council anymore. As far as the secretary and what I may have said, it's irrelevant at this point. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I make a closing comment if there's nobody? Thank you. I will apologize, Derek, if I came on strong. But like Lori said, when you're a member of a board, you have to exercise care in what you say. And
True, but he meant possibly. He misspelled.
he said what he said. He changed it, so I know what he said. So I'm just saying I apologize, but again, you have to exercise care in how you present things. So.
I
Uh,
have a quick
I'm
closing.
sorry.
Oh, actually,
But until we finish the public comment, okay?
yeah.
I'm not. Thank you, though. Marlene Dick, 10 Byron Drive. I just want to say, I know people are here for different reasons. This is the first meeting. I said people are here for different reasons. I'm not speaking. This is the first meeting of the new board, and
Please.
I wish all of you well, and I hope that everyone will give you a chance to get your feet wet, like everyone else who has served prior got their feet wet. It's not going to be perfect at the very first meeting, and hopefully the more experienced people will take everyone under their wing and kind of coach them along. Do have a quick question. In the ordinance that was just read, the shall and the class 4 can't hold another office. I'm curious as what the word office actually means. Does that mean sit on a committee, a commission? So when you're doing your research, hopefully, and I just think that everyone can hold off and let the attorney do what we're paying him to do, and he'll come back and he'll tell us what's allowed and what's not. Easy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Belcarro?
Lou Belcaro. I just want to give a little advice to the new people here. And Joe, I understand what you're saying, speaking about Eric and Eric. I can see that you misspoke there. I just say this, that just a little advice, especially when everything's being recorded and as your words says, can come back and bite you in the ass later on. Think before you speak and choose your words wisely. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're at the magic moment of adjournment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
just
right.
wanted to double check. So, the Lyman Engineering letter, did somebody look into the additional flow that would be going into the sewer system and just to make sure that it wasn't gonna top it off? I don't know how close we are to capacity, but is that something that
We don't do that here. The Township has a sewer engineer, and Paul takes a look at this. The amount of flow will be discussed, the allocation will be discussed, there'll be other issues discussed on this. And generally, you can't approve a TWA on a conditional basis. It's a endorsement or it's not. But you can attach all these conditions to the allocation. And this will be looked at with care at the council level. Now, this is as good a place as any to say this. I may comment on this at the council level, but as of right now, I can't vote. I happen to own several hundred shares of Stag. Stag owns 3 buildings in New Jersey. This building happens to be one of them. It doesn't look anything like the buildings they show in their brochure, but I am technically a stockholder. So unless I sell my stock over the next week, I'll probably be abstaining on the final vote on this.
Okay.
Huh? I'm down, if that's your question.
There are no good Paul, did you want to address before we adjourn?
To say 2 things for the board. Today, an application was filed by Opus Investments for the Lopatcong portion of the Ingersoll Rand Tract, specifically a general development plan. Approval was requested by Opus, and this is something that they're looking to have on the agenda for the February 24th meeting. Does the board want the professionals to proceed and do a review of that and do a report for your next meeting?
I think that would be
Yes.
more than desirable. I mean.
Yeah, this is a major step.
Do they have the required escrow funds
They
in?
have not posted escrow. That's something that I talked to the applicant about today, and once they post the escrow, we can proceed with the review of the paperwork at this point. Given, I guess, your action tonight in tabling the appointments, I just wanted to make sure that the board was okay for George, Tony, and myself to do that review and get it ready for hearing next month.
I think by tabling the appointments, you're extended under your existing contracts for,
Yeah.
long.
I just wanted to give them time to get to know.
Appointment. So if you're on board, no, I think that's already in their contracts already.
Yeah, it's in their contract. They have holdover.
Replaced.
I just have one other comment, and this has nothing to do with me, but it has to do with Mr. Ritter. The reason he's not here tonight is that his wife is gravely ill. In fact, she's in a hospice, and that's why he's not here. He's taking care of his wife. But this municipality is in the middle of some very serious litigation regarding COA, and Mr. Ritter is in the middle of that. He's been this municipality's guiding force on that litigation for a long period of time before it was instituted and now. And I think he would be really ill-advised to change horses midstream. I go meeting to meeting. For me, it's, if you reappoint me, that's great, and if you don't, I'm a big boy. But I think you're making a terrible mistake as in leaving George hanging out there, because he's got to devote a lot of time and attention and effort, as does his firm, to that litigation, and it's extraordinarily important to this municipality. That's just my observation.
Thanks. The second issue I wanted to review with the board is it was indicated earlier that the new board members wanted to get to know the professionals between now and the next meeting. I wanted to know how you were going to do that. I know I submitted and responded to an RFP and submitted documents to the board. Is that reviewing what I submitted to the board? Or are you looking to do an interview of me? If you are, I'm going to be missing. Actually, I'm traveling on 24th of February. I'm not going to be here. So if your intent was to do an interview, I'd like to be afforded an interview. I have represented this board for a long time, and I believe I've done a credible job for this board. So if that's your intent, I'd like to be able to arrange for an interview. But if it's I'm not sure what your intent is at this point. So I want to get clarification on that.
Discussion on the
I do not
qualification or works?
I can only speak for myself.
I don't know where to go with that one. To tell you the truth, it's I wholeheartedly agree with Tony. I may be prejudiced. I've been here a long time. I've worked with these gentlemen. I've worked thick and thin. They've all been great.
Well, I second that, and I'm sure the offer stands for all of them. They made the offer, they're accessible. I'm guessing if they want to come down, see your facility, visit your office, that would be feasible.
Absolutely.
So they're available. If you feel you have to get to know them better, give any one of them a
Yeah,
call.
I agree with our attorney. I'm just showing our new members, say, good faith that you would like to review our existing engineers. I've worked with Mazer and Paul in particular for 12 to 15 years now with emergency management disasters in this township. I don't care what time of day or night it is. His firm is always available. They cover the disaster 24/7 if necessary. With the knowledge that Paul has and George both, with what we have going on in this township right now, I highly recommend keeping them all. But until you gentlemen and get to know them, I'll back you people until you feel comfortable.
Maybe, Gary, that's all it takes, speaking to people like you and Gary, who have long work experiences with Paul. And I know Paul, and I hold him in high regards. But it makes sense for Aura and maybe John, just speak to you and to Gary and ask whatever questions they may have, and it's good enough.
Let's leave it up to them to make the calls if they want to call people.
One of the great things is the fact that we have the cohesiveness of Paul being township engineer. He's already been appointed to the Board of Adjustment. Just having the engineering firm being the same firm in relationship to the council, he's privy to their executive sessions when the engineering is required. He's available anytime that I've ever tried to get in touch with him for issues we've had with the planning board. People I've spoke to on the Board of Adjustment feel the same way about it. Just having that cohesiveness and the cohesiveness of the three professionals that we have now have worked together tremendously for this township. I know there's been a lot of controversy with asphalt plants and everything else, but the behind the scenes work, what we have tried to do and accomplish, what we do, I'll have a discussion with Mark after the public meeting's over, but it's, they've been great to work with. And when I started on this board in 1994, the people we had then, I shouldn't even say that, I was here in 91, sorry. The people we had then and the firms we had led this township down a couple of roads that they shouldn't have gone down. We were poorly represented in the school situation that Phillipsburg came in with, and you've seen the result of what we have now. I can't tell you how fantastic George has been, George Ritter, and the COA applications that we've had to go through, and the Highland applications that we've gone through. It was really, the Highlands came out with a 7-page manifesto of what we had to go through, and we're still not completed with it. His firm did a tremendous amount of work on it. We went to, I don't know how many meetings we attended at the Highlands Council up there to try to just get Ingersoll out of a permanent farmland assessment. So whether you agree with what's happening with Ingersoll then or now, at the time we were looking at an industrial place to go with. This is all history, I won't go into it, but they did a fantastic job coordinating and actually making the applications to Highlands in particular, but just dealing with COA has been an absolute nightmare. I mean, we've spent tremendous amounts of money just doing the round 3 numbers we were supposed to come up with. We thought we were safe in the area. We thought we had an excess number that we would have. And if any of you get the chance to read the Larkin COA, how it would affect Lopatcong Township, we could be in big trouble. But anyway.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment that I have no agenda. I would just like to, and it wasn't even my suggestion on this, but I would like to talk to other people that are on the board who've been on the board before. And that's pretty much what it is. Just to, that's what my agenda is. So thank you.
I think I want to put a little bit of perspective on this if I could, because last year I was a new member that didn't know anything about a planning board at all, professionals or anything like that. First of all, I think it's silly that the first meeting we vote to bring new people in. I think it should be at least a month for the new members to get to know somebody, but I can't change that. But coming in, you don't know these people, you've never met them, or you don't know the backgrounds of. George, I didn't know at all, but he's an encyclopedia. When he opens his mouth, you just go, wow. Okay, and Paul, I do a lot of engineers in my job. Half of them are full of crap. He knows what he's talking about. Tony's done a good job. So, all 3 is great. But coming in as a new person, it's hard because you just don't know. And you're required to vote right away.
I agree.
First thing you do is vote. That's hard, too.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. And this situation on the reorganization tonight is extraordinary. We normally don't have that many new members, at least class 4 members coming in at one time. I mean, we might change 1, 2, and 3 around almost yearly, but the class 4 members, I think we still, do we have a pecking order now? I mean, how many years are we staggered the appointments now?
No, I've reconstituted them with appropriate terms. Why they're the way they are is anyone's guess.
So,
we've got to
is
this.
someone, we all 4-year members, or are they all 4 here, the members are.
Some
you
are
have it
4,
down,
some
1,
are
2,
3, some are 2.
Oh, okay.
Now it's right.
That's, okay. So,
Tony here now. Just wondering, why was it that you're ready to vote for Beth to be out here, but you're not ready to vote for Paul to be in, or, I don't know, Anthony to be in, or the other guy, George, I don't know.
I don't think anyone
I
would.
can answer, maybe I can answer one thing for you. You know that I'm here every meeting, and I know Beth quite
Eric
well.
also.
What?
I think Eric's here.
Yes,
Also, right?
so we know Beth quite well, we really do. George Ritter, however, besides that, I really have no idea who George Ritter is, I don't.
How about Paul?
All I know.
Eric, you know Paul?
I know Paul.
So the only one, I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Pete,
You know Paul a little bit, you've been coming recently, the last.
if you look back on the vote for that, I voted no for that one. Because I know Paul very well, and I've been at the meetings, and I know that
Yeah,
changing horses in a race like that, to me, wasn't a smart move with everything going on. But as far as the attorney, as far as I know, I mean, and nothing wrong with it, I probably shouldn't. Attorneys are attorneys.
Mayor McKay, you also know, right?
What?
No, attorneys are not attorneys. Don't work with plenty of attorneys. Mr. Scarrow is in the cross of his own.
And I do hope to know that.
Mayor McKay, you vote yes or no? I didn't hear it, so.
I voted to wait a month, yeah, wait a month.
So you don't know either, man.
And nothing to do with
It has nothing to do with me.
I'm just curious.
It's not,
nothing to do with
Why does it go to?
the new members, it's explicit.
Because they don't know, you're saying to try and get to know them.
Well, no, that was the reasoning to put the motion forth, but that doesn't have to be the reason for everybody to agree to the motion waiting for a month. Everybody can have their own reasons. So you shouldn't assume it's all because we're trying to get to know.
Well, in the beginning, if you go look back on things, said that they wanted to get to know.
No.
That was his reason for putting forth the motion. That's not the reason why everyone voted yes. Everyone votes yes or no for their own reason, not for the reason that put the motion forward.
I voted no.
I wanted to get to know.
I voted no.
Okay,
I voted no to give the new members the courtesy to get to know these people. I know these guys. But why not give the new members the courtesy? If we all vote yes, right, then
You don't know, John? Okay. I don't know.
Well, right, I don't know more than half of the people.
I want to know what they were only voting on.
But that's not why I
Well,
voted for, that's not why I agreed.
I didn't know you didn't know the one.
all right, I think we're getting a little bit
Yeah.
beyond what this discussion is here.
I have a question.
It is what it is, we had it gone.
These new folks all need to go to training. Has that been arranged?
They have to be trained within 18 months.
All right. When is the next?
Well, Paul will be running a class, hopefully with his associate over the next year, maybe in mid-year. So let's,
Mid-year, that's the next class?
Yeah, I do a class generally every year with an attorney in the northern part of the county, and it's for very little money, and he's certified to run the courses. He tests everybody in the end, so you get your certification. So Roger Thomas and I are looking to have that course toward the middle of the year, so I'll let everybody know.
That's a long time for them to wait, 6 months without the course.
Well, they have 18 months technically.
I know, but they're more proficient if they have the course.
There are some courses around. I'm teaching a NJPO course up in Sussex County on April 2nd, for example. Board members don't have to go to that one specifically. There's courses all over the state. So you can sign up and take a course before that. But if you don't do that, you know, Roger Thomas, who's a attorney in the county here, represents a number of boards. Him and I will be doing a course toward the middle of the year. And if a board member hasn't taken the course, then you can come and visit us that day and take the course.
So who has the listing when these courses? Do you have the listing done?
I can send a list to everybody. I can go on their website.
All right, that would be good, because I think then they could make a
With this amount of people that need to be trained, when this first came out, we usually have it on a Saturday, Paul, or?
NJPO is typically doing it on a Saturday, yes.
Okay, well, do that, maybe, might not interfere with work, get a bunch of people together and all go up together. And
Yeah,
that's
that would be-
last year, right?
That's right.
We did that last.
Voorhees High School, right?
As long as the weatherman doesn't tell us we're gonna get 6 inches. Mr. Mengucci?
Good evening, everybody. Jim Mengucci here from Oakview Road. Welcome to all the new board members here. Mr. Burrell, I agree with a lot of what you said. Back in 2006, when we redid the park, it was Paul, along with myself, Mayor Steinhardt, and some other people. On a Saturday, went up there and rolled out some sod along the pool. We kind of made an event out of it. Some coffee, some donuts, had a great time volunteering for our township. Most of you people on this board wouldn't know that. And that's my point. Take the time to get to know the people that are serving us, because we have some good quality people up here. The antagonism that is going on in this township at every level. I sat up here for 15 years. I've sat in the back. Now this is my 4th year out. The view from the back row is ugly. It's time to get off the hamster wheel at every level and work together. But for God's sake, take the time, use somebody like myself or anybody with past board members to get some history, because you certainly don't know where you're going to go if you don't know where the hell you've been. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Yeah. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion. Do I need a second? Can I have a second? Second. Okay. You don't have to go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?